All right, man, we gonna check out this movie called The Watchers. We start off in this forest with this dude by the name of John. He's just like running and thinking to himself like, okay, what's going on with him? He ends up going across this sign that says, do not cross here, 108. So yeah, he's running around the forest. All of a sudden he sees the sign again and realizes that he's completely lost. Then we see a bunch of crows flying out of nowhere going in this other direction. He tries to climb one of the trees to see where he's at. The crow flies past him. He ends up falling off the damn tree. We thinking he's dead, done deal, did his shit, right? But he's still alive as he leans himself against another tree. Then all of a sudden, he just gets taken out of nowhere. So we think it's some type of forest animal carving him the fuck up, but yeah. Next thing we know, we get to this chick by the name of Mina. She's working at this pet store and whatnot. Now her boss wants her to travel to give somebody this pet bird. She names him Darwin. I mean, he's like a parrot. He's like a yellow parrot or something like that. So she's driving on the countryside and all this other stuff. Before she does that, she goes back to the house. Now apparently she's sad on this day because it's like the 15th year anniversary of her mom's death. Now her sister Lucy calls her to make sure she's okay or whatever like that, but she hasn't really had contact with her sister like that. There's a reason for it, trust me. So she feeds the bird, she's about to go out on a date. She meets this dude at the bar, and she ends up getting the cheeks clapped. Yeah, she ended up giving him the business. Next day, she got on the road preparing to deliver this bird. But while she's on the road, she ends up going through this forest. The same forest that John was in. Next thing you know, the car starts going haywire, and all of a sudden it just cuts off. What's going on with this forest? Now, she's wandering around through this forest trying to find anybody. Then she sees the sign where the numbers changed for some reason. It changed to 12. Next thing you know, she looks to the left. She sees some lady. She tries to follow this lady. And then the lady's like, you gotta hurry up and run. You know what I'm saying? And she ends up running towards the lady, whatever like that. They end up going to this building. And now they're inside this building. And the lady's name happens to be Madeline. And she's in there with two other people. This late girl named Clara and this other dude named Daniel. Now the thing is, Madeline starts talking to her. She's like, look, the thing is, if you want to stay alive, you gotta stay in here. So apparently she lets her know there's creatures out there, these things called the Watchers. And they basically murk anything that's outside of those walls. They gotta act completely normal when they're staring into this mirror. Because they like to be entertained. The way you entertain is just live your normal life. So Madeline tells us there's 3 different rules that you gotta follow. Never turn your back on the mirror. Always come back to the cabin before the sun goes down. And never go inside the burrows. These burrows are like these big holes in the ground. Apparently that's where the Watchers live, I guess. See, the Watchers are like vampires. They only fuck with you at night. They can't be out there messing with you during the day. So we found out Clara's been there for like 5 months. Danny's been there for like 8.5 months. Madeline says she's always wanted to come out there for research, I guess. But she knows a lot about these forests. So we find out Claire has a husband named John. He was supposed to go foraging for food. He'll be back any day now. I'm like, okay. Yeah, John's done deal dead as shit. So apparently at this point, John's been gone for like almost a week. But the thing is, Mina's not trying to stay there forever, so you know she's about to break some goddamn rules. So when Mina's on a mission with Daniel to forage for food, right? Mina gets Daniel to tie a rope around her. He's like, man, fuck that. Take me in one of those barrels. So she goes down in one of them. Now, she doesn't go too far away from the light, obviously. She ends up finding pieces to a bike. Then she sees this crazy looking hand in the darkness, right? And it was like, hey, yo, pull me the fuck up. So they brought the pieces back to the cabin, right? Madeline's looking like, yo, where'd you find this bike from? And the way Mina responded, Madeline knows that she did some shit she wasn't supposed to be doing. But Mina plays it off like, nothing, I just found it in the forest. You know, Madeline's looking at her like... And they found some other type of equipment. I guess they found like a camera somewhere. Because apparently inside that cabin, electronics actually do work around there. Why they don't work in the rest of the forest, I have no fucking idea. Now, Daniel said he learned some of this stuff from this guy called the Professor. We'll get to him in a minute anyway. They all get to stand in front of the mirror again, but for some apparent reason, I think the Watchers sound upset. Then they hear a knock on the door, and all of a sudden they're like, it's John. We're like, oh shit. But Madeline's like, yo, we're not supposed to open the door at night. But 9 times out of 10, they think to themselves, that's not John. So Madeline's like, okay, if you're really sure that's John, ask him something that we wouldn't know. That only John would know. And she starts talking about this certain book, and John didn't answer the question. He was like, okay. So at this point, we know that's not John. So she tells him, pick up the camera that's on the ground and put it to your face so I can see your face. So he puts it to his face and we're like, oh shit, that really is John. But wait. But then John gets snatched up and another Watcher ends up breaking the camera. At this point, I'm definitely convinced that's not John. And Madeline left out some things because of mental health, I guess. She said, I forgot to tell you, these motherfuckers can shapeshift and mimic your sounds. I'm like, what? It's a fine time to tell the rest of the crew that shit. Somehow, they end up getting through the night. Claire starts hanging around with Daniel again. It's got to the point where Claire's accepted the fact that John is done deal dead as shit. Then Claire ends up meeting up with Mika, you know what I'm saying, getting to get Mina. I mean, I guess they're trying to forage for food again over there too. But Mina actually found some chalk and she started marking trees or whatever. Pretty solid idea. Then we see Madeline and Daniel having some type of disagreement. Then Mina and Carla are like, yo, it's starting to get dark. We gotta find the others, right? And she ends up they both end up finding Madeline tied up and shit. We're like, what the fuck? Why did Daniel tie these things up? Carla goes to look for Daniel while Mina is trying to untie Madeline. And Madeline did say at one point the force will make you go crazy if you stare into it long enough or whatever like that. Apparently, that's what happened with Daniel. That's the reason why he spazzed out on Madeline. Claire ends up going back to the cabin and finds Daniel there the whole time, right? Mina and Madeline get there too late. Daniel's trying to keep them locked out because it's dark, so he can't open it for nobody. I was like, wow, using her own vice against her, right? Then now Mina and Madeline got to find somewhere to hide and shit. So Claire and Daniel just stand in front of the mirror about to do some regular shit, right? So then the Watcher comes out of nowhere, jumps over to see what's in the mirror, right? And then all you see, the Watcher grows to be like fucking 10 feet tall. We're like, oh shit. And then a bunch of Watchers come out of nowhere, they grow, do the exact same thing. We're like, yo, these motherfuckers are outside right now in front of, like, damn near, like, 10 feet away from these niggas. And obviously they notice Madeline and Mina are not there, so basically they start separating and they start looking for them. We're like, yo. After they dipped out, Mina and Madeline start banging on the door again, whatever like that. And Daniel's still not trying to open the door. So this is when Mina ends up telling her backstory about her mom. Well, it turns out when she was little, Mina, Lucy, and her mom were all in a car drive, whatever like that, and they got to arguing. So Mina tried to kill herself in the back seat. Her mom got distracted, and meanwhile, she ends up running around, hitting a fucking 18-wheeler. Somehow, Mina and Lucy survived it, but their mom was done deal dead as shit. And obviously, she blames herself for her mom dying. And that's why Lucy's been trying to get in contact with her sister, because she hasn't been able to in a while, you know what I'm saying? That story made Daniel finally open the door and let him inside. All of them end up going to the mirror, right? But you can tell the Watchers are angry and shit. They're like, what the fuck? So the Watchers been trying to get inside the spot. All of a sudden, the mirror cracks. We're like, oh shit. So they're looking around this cabin trying to find anywhere to escape to or whatever like that. Then they find this underground bunker. We're like, what? They all get in the bunker and close the hatch just in time too, because all the glass broke in the motherfucking mirror. So they go down as a bunker. They see all this equipment, you know what I'm saying? There's computers, you know what I'm saying? Old VHS tapes, all this type of stuff. They had a bunch of food down there, but they was really running low on food. So Mina turns on the computer or whatever like that, right? And there's a bunch of video clips of Professor Rory. Now the thing is, he knew about these Watchers. He was talking about the science of these fairies that are like half fairy, half human. Trying to find a way to have everlasting life or bring them back to life or something like that. On another video, he actually got in contact with one of these Watchers. He had one of them actually down in the bunker. I guess the Watcher was cordial to a point, which was fucking crazy. There was another video where he explained the Watcher got hostile, right? Now I'm thinking to myself, they say he was able to escape it. And I'm like, hold on. How the fuck did he force the Watcher to go back up the fucking bunker? Riddle me that. He's gotten to a point where he's got a gun. He's like, man, fuck this shit. I'm going out shooting. He goes up the bunker, shoots one of the Watchers, then does himself in. I'm like, yo. Now, one of the tapes, he said he was studying the land or whatever like that. Now, here's the thing. I still don't understand how the technology and electricity knocks out in the forest, but it just happens to be working in this particular cabin. But okay. He said, if you want to get out of here, you got to go to this spot where there's a boat. But you got to follow the birds at night because they go in one specific direction. I was like, oh. But you thinking to yourself, by the time that happens, the Watchers are out. You know what I'm saying? So how the fuck you going to be able to get there in time, especially if you don't know exactly where you're going? So basically, everybody's getting their rest. All of a sudden, Claire wants to play a song. Gets Daniel to start dancing or whatever like that. Then Daniel tells his backstory about how his dad used to beat the shit out of him. And she says, if we got this alive, you can come live with me. Next day, they're ready to get the fuck out the forest. Okay, so remember when I said Mina was marking chalk on trees or whatever like that? Apparently, it's to mark the trees to get to the fucking sign. It said 44 on it. I don't understand the reason for the numbers switching or whatever like that, but anyway. Now, Madeline has said, anytime you cross this sign, you're going to get confused and lost and you're probably fucked. So what Mina does is free her parrot Darwin and lets him fly or whatever like that, and then they follow him. Pretty smart. So the final parrot is starting to get dark. We're like, oh shit. Mina starts seeing hallucinations, but bottom line, she got to stay on task. They all got to stay together. The crows start flying past them. We're like, oh shit's getting dark. You gotta hurry and follow the crows. You know them Watchers is coming. But they finally see water, and then they find a boat. This motherfucker Daniel turns around and starts hearing shit. He goes to help out somebody. Turns out he's helping out Josh, right? Or John. Everybody else get the boat. They turn it over, see it's chained up. They get the chain out of there. Daniel's over there dragging John. He's like, yeah, I found him. We're like, no, that's not John. He's dead. Of course, John sits up and cuts him the fuck up. Daniel's done dead as shit. Of course it wasn't John, stupid. We established this when he was at the door that night. Matter of fact, he was butt naked at the door. Now all of a sudden he's got his clothes on just laying out there. Come on, fam. Madeline, Claire, and Mina end up rowing the boat, whatever like that. Now the thing is, they can't get to him, right? Because they have to stay on the island. The Watchers can't leave the island. Next thing you know, it's early morning. Mina wakes up off of the boat, and then she sees a bus going by. So we're like, oh shit, they must be out in the forest. So all three of them end up getting to this platform. The bus comes by again, and it's supposed to go to a certain town, and they end up getting on the bus. She gets the dude on the bus to turn the music up, you know what I'm saying? As long as the music stays on, everything's good, right? So then they're making this town. I guess all three of them went about their separate business. I guess Mina ends up tricking some people to saying that Professor Rory is her uncle or whatever. So she's able to go through all his archives of stuff. Now he's got a bunch of stuff written about the fallen angels. Now apparently some of these fairies and some of these humans have bought in this like Great War or something like that. And a good amount of them were buried and trapped in this container or whatever like that. Same container that Madeline showed when they was on the run on the island. Could it be these fallen angels are actually the Watchers? Yeah. So she's going through these archives and you also see these pictures. What are these pictures of? Boy. So at night she ends up going to visit Claire's house, right? She goes to Claire. Now she talks to Claire about these Watchers. Now here's the thing. The pictures that she has are Rory and Madeline. Okay, so Madeline was Rory's wife. But here's the thing. She actually died back in 2001. Now it made sense when Rory was talking about doing his research and bringing people back to life. So the whole time, Madeline is actually a walker. But that's crazy, right? Because she's actually a day watcher because she can actually go out during the day. Now you're thinking, how is this possible? I thought all the watchers could only be out at night and they couldn't even go out the island or out the forest. I guess it turns out one of the experiments actually worked. She happened to be one of the defect ones or something. But the crazy thing is another car pulls up. Turns out the car in it was actually Claire in there. We're like, oh shit. Mina was talking to Madeline the whole fucking time. Claire gets in the house. She ends up getting knocked out. And now Madeline wants to go one-on-one with Mina. She says she's going to keep her secret over like that. But she's like, we don't trust humans. But the crazy thing, Mina starts breaking it down to her. And she's like, well, if you didn't trust humans, why would you care to help us? She was saying because she was just trying to get off the island. But I'm like, she said, the only way you can understand is because you're part human too. You know about compassion, love, and hate and forgiveness. The words got to Madeline. She ends up dipping out and then she grows wings. And I'm like, oh, she can fly now. The thing is now Madeline is going to try to blend into society and try to find others like her. Obviously still keeping her eyes on Mina. So both Claire and Mina live. Last thing we see is Mina is having a conversation with her sister Lucy. Turns out they're both twins. As far as Madeline goes, she's been disguised as a little girl just wandering around town just trying to figure out if anybody's like her. And that's it. Man, this movie was wild. The Watchers on Netflix. Check it out.